Since the final project is such an important element in the assessment of this course, it's useful to say a few words about the project at the outset, especially since you're expected to start thinking about your project this week. The project submission should consist of a report, which is worth 50% of the grade, and a set of visualizations, preferably in a Tableau packaged workbook, but if you prefer, you can use Power BI. The idea behind the project is that you identify a research area, 2 research questions in that area, find data relevant to those research questions, and then create a series of visualizations that allow you to answer those questions. The expectation is that you use the skills that you acquired in this course, and maybe other courses you've already completed in the program, to complete a challenging project. There's a detailed rubric on the project in the module entitled Project, but I repeat it here. And because I want to give you maximum flexibility in the project, the rubric is a bit complicated, as you will see. The visualizations, which can attract a maximum of 100 points, should consist of a data source and a series of visualizations. They should contain some simple visualizations, a drill down visualization, a dashboard, and any number of animated visualizations or maps. The minimum required column gives you the minimum number of that particular element that needs to be in the Tableau packaged workbook or the Power BI file. Thus, I will look for at least 2 data sheets in the data source and at least 1 link between those. The points for each column gives you the number of points you would earn for a successful element in that category. Thus, a successful relationship between 2 tables in the data source will earn you 5 points. The maximum for the category gives you the maximum number that you can earn in that particular category. So for data sheets, you can earn a maximum of 25. That is, as most of you will have worked out, 5 data sheets. The rationale of all of this is that gives you flexibility in your project. Some of you may want to create 2 animated visualizations for your project, whereas for others only 1 animated visualization is appropriate. In other words, you choose how you collect the 100 points available for this project within the parameters set above. So make sure you have at least the minimum required and realize that there is a maximum you can earn in each category as well. So if you have a large complicated data source that earns maybe 45 or 50 points, then you don't need as many visualizations. On the other hand, if you have the minimum data source with only 2 data sheets and 1 link, then you will need a larger number of visualizations. The report should consist of 4 sections, namely an introduction, a methodology, analysis, and a conclusion. The introduction should give the background to the research questions you are addressing and a clear formulation of the 2 research questions. The methodology should describe the data sources that you use for this project and where you source them from. The analysis should describe how you use the data sources and the data reports and visualizations to address the research questions. The conclusion, finally, should describe the conclusions you have reached, discuss possible explanations for the trends that you may have found in the data, and hint at possible future research to address the issues that may have arisen from the above. The report will be graded as follows. You will earn 10 points for the background of the project, 20 points for the ambitiousness of the project, and I'll come back to that in a minute, 5 points each for description of the research questions, 10 points for the methodology section, 5 points each of a description of how you use the data that you sourced and visualizations to address the research questions. And ideally, you include images of the visualizations you created in this section. You get 5 points each for 5 each for the appropriateness of the visualizations to address the research questions. For example, is all the relevant information, all the information that seems relevant to the question, included in the visualization, and is there no superfluous information? In the conclusion, you get 5 points each for clear and succinct conclusions for both research questions, including justifications, and 5 points for the identification of additional research questions. And then you earn 15 points for appropriate and professional formatting, for correct spelling, and for correct grammar. The most nebulous of the above is the second item, namely the ambitiousness of the project. It's hard to define the concept more precisely, other than to give some examples. A project that simply redoes one of the exercises in the course, but with slightly different data. For example, the car sales example, but using sales data from another domain, is not ambitious. Another example of a lack of ambition is a project that compares some phenomenon, for example, the number of car crashes, the number of police-involved shootings, by some geographical area, a state or a county, but does not normalize for population size. You would expect California to have more of almost everything than Vermont, but because it's so much larger, its population is so much larger. But the picture may look very different if you normalize the population size from population size. On the other hand, a project that combines data from completely different sources, for example, COVID data from the Florida Department of Health with demographic data from the Census Bureau, is ambitious. The notion is that you stretch yourself.